it's very hard to change the mindset, and that is what I would love to change. If that changes, I think half of the problems are going to go. Like, everybody's thinking from the same lens, and there'll be very less objections and more alignment to say, oh, you're right, we have the data and here's a mistake, let's go work on it and get it solved. I think the focus was so much on digital and thinking, oh, digital is going to just take it over now, the stores are not going to say no. It had to be that people still thrive in places, and they want to go to places and feel it real. The internet at that point in time was second worst in the world in South Africa, long time ago. 2015, 2016 is what I'm talking about. And then we had to see what did we learn from the way people actually shop or reserve a room there. That is going to not only help you get that data in real time that you need, but also tell you what.
My name is Jochem Van Der Veer. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a company called TheyDo, the journey management platform for business decision-making. We raised over $50 million and are growing globally. Our enterprise customers include Ford, J&J, the Home Depot, and Pfizer. I mean, wherever you look, understanding customers is key to staying ahead. But in order to do this at scale, aligning so many different teams with the customer journey is incredibly hard, but it is possible. I really wish this podcast existed before we started our company, because so many companies are organizing around journeys and there's so much to learn. So in order to share what I'm learning, what I'm hearing with our community, I meet with industry experts. And in my video podcast, I'm here to explore the world of business strategy, design, and journeys, customer journeys, to really get an understanding of how leaders are changing their way in their business. So let's dive into the show. Today, I'm speaking with Santos Subramanyam. He's the director of enterprise product, CX and UX at Macy's, an incredible design leader. And interestingly, he's worked across industries as he led global teams across retail, hospitality, automotive, and tech. So what I like a lot is how he positions his work to deliver business results. I'll give a couple of examples. Boosted NPS by 3.35 across 95,000 associates by developing AI-driven colleague tools, generating 250 million in new revenue, cutting transaction times by nearly 25% with an enterprise design system. So those are a couple of the examples that are speaking to where the modern customer experience leaders are thinking in terms of business. He specializes in building and measuring design, organizations, standing up systems and processes. So we're going to dig into that. And of course, AI. His core strengths on CX strategy, but also scalable design systems. I mean, I'm a designer, are piquing my interest. So we're going to talk about that today. He is also a keynote speaker, board member, and an active mentor in the design community. Santosh, I'm so glad you could join me today.
Thank you very much, Jochem. It's a pleasure. I like the way you set up that how customer expectations have been coming back to what it used to be a couple years ago, maybe even a decade ago. I worked in different industries, like you mentioned. Macy's my current stint in retail, but before that I worked in higher education technology. It's a SaaS-based company that's based in Virginia, and before that I actually worked in hospitality for a long time, 8 years of Marriott. I have a lot of memories from Marriott days, cherished through customer experience enablement. And of course, before Macy's, I also worked in automotive, which was another, during COVID, it was challenging to see how we are going to actually noodle through automotive business, and a lot of learnings there, and then great achievement as well. So I'm happy to be here, talk to you today, and let's roll.
Maybe we should start with not all the changes you've seen over the last few decades when having all these roles in these different industries. But I like to start with what is still true in customer experience that was true when you started your career. Like, what's still true today?
Probably I didn't realize when I started my career thinking that it was natural for us to go to places, do things, and then the digital wave came in, of course, with a lot of enablement that actually supplemented your experience. Going to a store, for example, buying something, or at Marriott, you actually use the app to check in. The app was an enabler for you to go do that seamless check-in into the room without talking to too many people. Also, I like talking to people because I dig on culture, I dig on where they come from, working at Marriott, we had people from all over the globe. And literally, I'm not even making that up. If you go into different floors, you'll find different people coming from different places of the world, and they bring different perspectives and culture. And that is one of the last verticals that I actually worked on, which was about global cultures. How do we actually enable experiences for our customers in global markets based on the localized cultures? And so we always had this 80-20 rule that we followed then, which meant 80% of your digital experience can be kind of universal because everybody knows how to actually do a checkout, how to reserve a room, what preferences they need to choose, yada, yada. But the localization comes in. What payment methods are they used to? What is the local cuisine like? Where do they actually go and do, their sightseeing? What information you can actually give them? Apart from that, colors played a big role because you can't use the same mental model that one color suits everyone. Like I could push my American color palette on a Asian website, may not go really well. Like red is considered to be royal in China, purple is royal in Indonesia. So how do you actually balance those things? We've learned a lot, and we've always felt that 80-20 rule works. So 20% localization and 80% globalization kind of was a win-win at that point in time for Marriott. So I feel thinking locally and going globally is the way to actually enable better CX for customers. Coming
I
down
love
to
that.
automotive,
It's actually that we could go back in time and say that was impossible, right? It was true before the internet, then everything digitized and it was kind of clunky implemented. And now we have the tools available to go local again. Is that what you're saying?
it is true. In fact, when we were expanding, in one of the examples I can really go, this is really striking. We started, Marriott had acquired a brand in South Africa. And then when we did, when they acquired that brand, we had to go to South Africa to see how do we enable this one. The internet at that point in time was second worst in the world in South Africa, long time ago. 2015, 2016 is what I'm talking about. And then we had to see what did we learn from the way people actually shop or reserve a room there. They go take their phone, keep it right next to them, look at the website, and they need a number right there. And so they call and make a reservation. Because the internet was so slow, you cannot enable too many heavy graphical images. Yes, they want to see a picture, but then the phone was the best way for them to call. So we had to think about how do we actually place those situations in context for them before just going and saying, let's just roll another, brand into South Africa and it would work perfectly fine. So there are so many stories like that I could actually share. So we learned that, we came back, optimized for that particular market. And now it's a different world. I mean, South Africa is much more ahead. They have a lot of good things going on. Things do change. You're right. So you have to actually always think about what does the customer do in that market and how do you actually customize for them?
Okay, so these things are still true today. And I think the other thing that is still true today, and it was like an artifact of the last decade, is NPS, right? A lot of CX organizations are still backward looking, reporting on some vanity metrics like NPS. And I want to get your perspective on this because when I hear you speak, it's about understanding the context. It's about understanding the local environment of the customer, but also appreciating what the business is trying to achieve, right? So it is so much more than, hey, let's measure NPS and see if the colorful images and the phone call actually result in a positive experience, if I may say it like that. But I have a hate-love relationship with NPS, right? We're trying to get people away from that as the steering mechanism, and yet bonuses are tied to it. And even when I was going through your business results, right, we're still looking at NPS, and that is a great result. So maybe like unpack that a little bit for me. Maybe the example, that's a great place to start, where we start and say, you boosted NPS 3.35 across 95,000 associates. So what? What did that lead to? And I'm sure you have stories around that. And maybe people who are learning to go away from backward looking and to actually making business impact, tangible results are the outcomes, are starting to see NPS as like a lagging indicator for that. But how do you see that? Like, can you walk me through like what that NPS increase actually meant?
Sure. For me, I'm with you on that partly, and I understand the numbers are something that you need for business to chew on to say, oh, look, we have a positive NPS score, and it's being used for a long time for different reasons. In this case, too, this was especially working on a checkout modernization effort, for example. I'll give you an example so that'll be easy for us to understand where we're going. Rollout's going to be in beta stages. Like we first roll out to 200 stores, then we're testing it and seeing how this is going to, impact our colleagues. The first customer for us is our colleague because they're the ones who are using the system, but then it touches the customer directly as well in the store. So we wanted to improve the speed of it because we had an older system, legacy, and I think we will talk about legacy a little more. How do we modernize, not just by changing the hardware, which is part of the experience, but also how do you actually map the new mental model of a shopper and the colleague and modernize it in a holistic way and not just piecemeal work? The NPS score is, of course, is interesting. It says when you put something new, which was 25 plus years old, and it kind of acts like, oh my God, it's like having a old car, which is still classic. We all love that. It's shiny and beautiful, but it also has that bad gasoline thing that it emits from behind. But then you have a modern electric car. I'm trying to give you an analogy. They can say, oh, this is so cool. And everything you touch, it just kind of reacts and shows you what magic it can create. That's what kind of raises that particular score immediately for us. I'm not diluting it. I'm saying it is a great indicator that people are accepting the new model that we're trying to bring in to drive productivity for them and increase business. Now, the speed of transaction is very important because at holiday times, we have lines that actually go back and people get frustrated if you're not getting checked out sooner. We cannot have too many checkouts all the time. So how do you actually increase the speed of checkout? The system has to, respond. Also, it has to be very intuitive and it has to minimize the number of steps that you're taking to get someone out of the store. Those are the things that made a big difference in this case. So
I love that example.
Like technically tied into the speed of transaction and the ease of doing it from the new interface.
So when you're designing the implementation, NPS is one of those metrics, but it was also focused, if I understand correctly, on the business performance metrics, on the employee efficiency side. How do we measure all these steps leading up to this? Like when a customer experience team is doing something similar, right? Rolling out something new or supporting a business on helping to improve a part of the experience, like what's the way that they should go outside of the NPS rabbit hole? Because that's the only tool they have control over of measuring. Like, how do you help your teams? Or in this case, how did you help your team to do this, to measure the right things? How did you set them on this track?
So when we put the vision together, we had certain KPIs that we wrote down, and those are very important. One is speed of transaction, ease of transaction, and speed. Those two were the primary KPIs for us. We never said NPS should be so much, it should increase so much, and that was not the goal. So it is just an after effect of what we actually put out there. So that's why I feel good about it in a way. I know it can be used in different ways. And also we're still in the testing phase. We're not like completely roll out to see how many transactions it's going to spit out. The holiday is going to be the litmus test is going to be. And so we'll see how many people can actually check out through using the newer system versus the older ones. And that'll give us a complete raw data of black and white data, rather, I should say, of what is what, and it will be good. We already know from the testing, we are very confident that's going to work. So when we set it up, to answer your question, that was the vision. It said ease of use, speed of transaction, and also modernizing in bringing in all the other, tasks that they did outside of the register into the UI and the software that could actually enable those experiences for them. Also, making it easy for the customers to see transparency. It was very important. I'm not saying we were not transparent before, in the sense when you're actually ringing something, how do I understand that I took off $2 because this thing was on a 20% discount? I don't see that. I don't want to do the math. Don't make me do the math. Remember, that's one thing that we always talk about. Customers, just tell me how much money I saved and what does that mean that I paid so much for. So those kinds of things were very important for us. We drove those metrics as KPIs, and then that is how we achieved the NPS score in return.
When we were discussing before we were rolling, you told me it's all about aligning using the journey. If we're not optimizing for the customer journey across our different teams, then we're doing a bad job. This was in the context of AI, which we're going to go in a second. But what I'm very curious about is like, this is the physical store. This is the in-store experience. And now it is part of the experience, but not the whole experience. So what should we do especially in retail, when we have these highly cross-functional experiences that we have no control over, but they can all be considered part of the same journey or experience broken down into journeys? Like, how do you think about compartmentalizing that in a useful way in such a omni-channel cross-functional experience?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I like personally, and I'm pushing that, we've done this a lot, especially my team, we do this a lot, is doing service blueprints. And it's not just putting blueprints because they're beautiful. They're living documents, in my opinion. They have to keep, you have to keep updating them as we move along in the journey and time. In this case, we did the same thing. It was not just software updates. We're not just thinking on that. We said, how does the wrap stand actually stand up for this? The wrap stand is a checkout place where you actually go. It's a little desk. And how does that actually improve with ergonomics? There's another example I can give you that we did, and it made a big difference. We used to have shipping. Our stores also act as a mini shipping or warehouse kind of, facility, because when you get the orders online, some of the stores which are close by can fulfill that requirement to the local markets. So if you go to the store, there's a little shipping area that you can go. The stores are huge. And we noticed that the printer and the box and the weighing scale were all kind of mismatched, kept in a different way. The way you operate is like if you're on a conveyor belt trying to assemble something, you have a certain order to it, right? So because one puts the screw, one puts the nut, and then, you tighten and so on. So we just made small changes. I call it Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese principle where we make small improvements to see some bigger effect of it. And this was the same thing. We just moved the scale from the left side to the right side of the computer, because that's where you're actually interacting and putting. You put it on the scale, it gives you where does it go, which bin should it be going, and you just push the box and it goes into the bin. Earlier, they had to go back and pull it up from a different place and put it. It was waste of time, a lot of effort, and duplication of putting the box up and down. It may feel silly, but it is very small improvement. And those are the things we think when we actually think about not just enabling the software we're modernizing. We're also going to think about ergonomics for our colleagues. And how do our customers come and interact? Where do they get frustration? We observe a lot in the store when people are doing these transactions to see what we can fix from our side. I always call it phygital experiences. That's why, because there's a physical part to the digital part that you're creating. So that's how we always go, with that mindset in mind, that when I'm creating this experience which I'm enabling for the customers or colleagues, which is more digital focused, I'm thinking physically, what can I do? In the checkout mode experience too, we're thinking about mobile checkout, which is part of it. Now we're also thinking mobile can work only in certain places where you have more personalization. Like if Jochem comes in, I want to actually help you buy the right fragrance. And I don't want you to go back to drag you all the way to the checkout counter to check you out. Instead, I can actually do that on a mobile device. The experience that you feel because of doing that is different. Shoes is another example, right? But to enable that on a large layout, like store layout, I need to have bags right next to me so that I could pull the bag and put the shoe for you. Now, if the bag is somewhere far away, the whole purpose of me orchestrating a mobile checkout is defeated, because then I have to run to get the bag. You see, the service design is kind of broken in that place. That's how we think. So we always think about what can we do in 360 and not just 180-degree implementation.
So thank you for sharing these examples. Like this is perfect, right? It has so much depth. And what I'm curious when I hear this is always like, it makes so much sense, right? It's not a small change. I mean, if you roll this out across all the different stores, like it has impact on many different parts, but quantifying that up front so that the business says like, yes, that's worth our time to invest, to retrain people to make sure that this gets done and everyone is doing it. That's, again, like sometimes maybe even $1 million change, $1 billion change if you roll this out across all the different stores. So that can have a ripple effect. but it might not be obvious in the beginning when you're applying the service design mindset. So I'm going to prioritization because for you it makes sense, for your team it makes sense, but there's so many other things you could do. So the opportunity cost of doing this one is real. How do you go about this? How do you go about quantifying it, prioritizing it? Or was this more like my teams have full autonomy and they have their principles and their metrics and therefore they can make these decisions? Or is there a different way that you go about like bringing this to attention to the right people so that the action can be taken?
So it's a mixed bag of reaction that I have for this one. The reason I say that is especially depends on whom you're talking to in the organization. Some people have been here for a long time. And when I say long, it's probably 30 years, 25 years plus. They've done certain things in a certain way, and that's what they're used to. So to convince those folks, and they're probably up in the ladder too, and so it's kind of a different mental model that you need to apply. When we go with that approach, we always take smaller wins and show them how this has improved. For example, I told you the shipping thing. Nobody asked us to do that. When we went in to test the app and understand that when we did discovery, we figured it out. Okay, here are the broken things we're going to fix. It's just natural for us designers. I think we just see what are the opportunities where we can make something better. And the same thing applies to anything. In this case, to convince them, yes, it's not just the dollar amount that always business wants to see. What is the dollar that's going to move us, or profit? But it also is the mindset is really nice because they also are looking at how can our colleagues be more efficient. And I always draw this one line from my previous experience at Marriott. Mr. Bill Marriott always said this: you take care of your associates. We call them associates of Marriott, and they will in turn take care of your customers, and that way the business grows. So we're actually doing that here too. We're taking care of our colleagues who are struggling today and doing a lot of different things to make the brand, effective in front of our customers. If we are going to make their life easier, they'll have more time to actually serve our customers more personally. And that's one of the messages that had been conveyed in every channel by using these small metrics to say, this is what's going to move the needle. That gave us a little bit of alignment. It took a lot of effort. I'm not going to say no. Of course, we had more lofty ideas to do some more things, but we're doing one thing at a time as we speak.
Yeah. Do you think you're in a unique position as a design leader? Because looking from the outside in, it looks like product, CX, and UX all are under your belt. And in most organizations, when we're looking at design leaders, it's either like CX and UX, or it's UX and research, and CX is separate, and delivery is like in the IT org or in the product org. Like, are you unique in that sense?
No, I wish I would say yes easily and say yes, Jochem, let's go on. No, actually I am. And I'm not. So I always believe in, personally, I believe in how much you can influence someone and drag. It's hard. Not everybody wants to do it. Are we set up that way here? No, the product organization is a little different, and my organization reports into a different, group, and we have technology, which is huge, obviously. But what we were able to do, especially my team and I, since we built this, bring the enterprise UX together to say we have a common goal, and that is serving the best outcome of whatever we do. And for that, I need all of your help. I again take the four-legged stool system. There's three. That is UX product. You already mentioned tech, UX, and product, or CX. In my opinion, I call myself CX, and it is CX for us. The fourth is the data. I always say data trumps opinion, so let's bring data folks together. We understand where's it going. So always research and data is at the forefront. Anything that comes to my on my side to pick up a work, for example, new work that comes in, we always start with discovery. And if they say we've already done discovery and we just want you to roll, I would love to review that and see. And we always find opportunities to say, let's do one mini thing that we want to do together. And we always go with product into the store. If it's digital or anyone, product is part of it. For me, I've done different places, different flavors. My last gig at Cox, actually, it was together, like you mentioned. Then there was no, I didn't have this hard time convincing anyone because we were already aligned. We were going to work that way. It's a one unified team. Here it's a little different, and if every organization is that way.
If you're enjoying this conversation, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast channel and leave a review. It makes all the difference. The Experience Edge podcast is where I interview business leaders, CX pioneers, and the best designers who share their insight on creating business impact, having an edge on the customer experience. Do you want more exclusive content and behind-the-scenes access? Check out the Experience Edge podcast on YouTube and LinkedIn so you don't miss a thing. Now let's get back to the conversation.
So,
do you think in terms of organizing teams around journeys or shared outcomes or more functional, whereas a matrix organization might be like the common way, or are you actually able to move those teams along the journey?
we've done that before at Cox. I used to do that for the automotive initiative that we did for 2.5 years. Here we have journeys too, but is it moving that way? Not in every nook and cranny, but we're trying to work towards that. We have a very dedicated CX team sitting with C-suite, blessing. So it's kind of pushing from there too. But every time we do something, we do not present work without showing the journey of where it is. Because if you do not set the context to say, what I'm building is impacting all these people, and this is how the business is going to make sense, make money out of this, there is no way I can tell a full story. And so that's why I always bring them back to the journey and say, hey, let's align on the journey. It may sound boring when we're trying to build that journey-minded approach instead of just saying we'll just do this because we want to modernize something.
How journey-minded is the C-suite? It's funny that you said like CX team with a C-suite blessing. It's also like not common everywhere, right? So how journey fluent is the C-suite? Is it all about the customer journey? Is it about the experience? Is it about CX? Like, how do they think about this?
Well, there's a CX team that has the name CX team, so that's how I take it. That's the C-suite level. Now, I think we should be working towards this together, and we are, is a common big journey that stays intact. So everybody can go and refer to this and how are you impacting the journey here? Whom are you touching? Are we there 100% yet? No, but I think that's a story everybody can say that nobody's 100% there yet.
No.
Some of them probably are. Again, silos exist in every company, and we're trying to unify that. I always feel designers are the ones who are unifiers of a lot of other people and say, hey, you haven't thought about this one. We need to align on the journey. And everybody comes. It's hard because everybody, for them, it's their own work is big. They don't want to actually be always thinking with that mindset. We're the ones who kind of bring them together and say, no, we want to align on a journey. When we build something, we should always be working toward across the journey.
The gap that I'm seeing, and this is fascinating to me, is that yes, we want to be talking about the journey, and to your point, designers are dot connectors. They are connecting, unifying the silos, unifying the data, making sure that we're all rowing in the same direction. Mm-hmm. But then the higher up in the organization you get, the less relevant your blueprint becomes because people are just zoned out. There's too many details in there. It's too complicated. It's all overcoming. So there are these moments when leaders come together and all are like passionate about the blueprint, but there are like one or two of those a year. So elevating that levels of abstraction up so that we're still speaking the same language, like that's the big challenge. Like I see your smile, so
it is.
Tell me how you're solving for that.
I remember how at Cox it used to be that way. We actually went for the blueprint for a long time. We did the blueprint for a couple months because we were doing discovery real time, adding things, and there were so many players in it. Not everybody was invested in it, right? And that's because we wanted to go right. And then they saw, when we actually revealed it, they saw the benefits of doing that and how easy it is for us to align on it. It's all about storytelling, in my opinion. So you also suit your story to match your audience, or write your story to match your audience. Otherwise, you'll lose them in 2 minutes. This goes in any context. So journeys are the same. So who am I actually talking to? The C-suite. What does he or she wants to know? I still want them to know this is part of the journey. And I'm just going to actually say the highest level will be what I'm going to talk to you. about. And then to tell the whole app and digital experience of Cox when we built it, I had one single slide orchestrated to say how the experience is going to go through, and the enablement underneath, like service design, just show up, plop, plop, plop. It was animated. Um, Not that it's a great thing, but that kind of hit the nail in everybody's brains. Oh, now I understand why you're all working. And it's so complex. I don't want to go deeper and get into it. Like you mentioned, nobody wants to go deeper because it's too confusing for them. But if you show what they have to see, they'll be happy to see. And there are people who want to go deeper, like us. We want to go understand, where's the information coming from? How can I enable this better? How can I work with tech to make this faster? Can they build a data lake that can actually give me real-time API calls every time I want to call something and personalize this immediately? Those are the things that we will sweat on, obviously, and we love to do it. Not everybody is built for it. So when you tell your story, you want to go high level for C-suite or whoever else it is, and then you keep coming into the details as you go on, because people want to know, how are you doing this?
Yeah, and it's funny that customer experience teams are supposed to be like the most customer centric of all of us, right? We're trained to do it. We're trained to do research. We're walking in our customer shoes. But the moment we need to present to the company, like, we seem to forget, like, we have an actual customer consuming whatever we have to tell, and we forget about who is there, and we plop on like complicated blueprints in front of them.
I'll give you a very nice. It's 2022 in November 22 when I went to New York with my team. The first time we were trying to present something, all the pain points were found in the journeys. I said how we want to improve. I knew I was going to lose someone. We literally enacted it in the room.
Mm.
My team actually, each one of them took one of the roles, and some of them actually orchestrated. We orchestrated it so well. It's like people are walking with clothes. For example, we wanted to say people are looking for bags. We do not want to bring carts in Macy's, for example. A cart is a very grocery store kind of connotation attached to it. It wouldn't fly. So a bag is a more sophisticated way of shopping. Like, I'm buying so many things, I don't want to keep it in my hand and walk along thousands of feet of your store, which is huge. A couple of them are multi-story, and most of them are. And so, how do we solve for that? And I've always heard we had CX team do a survey to get real-time data of what the customers are thinking. Are they open to having a bag? So we had all the data collected. So then we actually, to tell a story, literally enacted it. I said, when somebody walks in with like the pile of clothes, and one of my teammates, she was on my team, and she walked into the room. People were like, "What are you guys doing?" I was like, "Well, we wanted to drive the point." And then the slide was right behind. It was playing the real movie and the numbers in front of you. So what's happening here? And then said, we're going to bring in a bag that will actually solve this problem. And we've talked about this to a lot of customers, and their ask is the same.
I love that. What was the effect of this? Like, what is the effect of the team? Like, that was an executive team that was consuming your storytelling acting
in the room, of course, and it didn't immediately manifest, but then I got to talk to sustainability team to how do we create sustainable bags instead of just doing bags. And there were so many other ideas, and I don't know if you know about Trader Joe's, right? So Trader Joe's creates unique bags in different seasons, and they're collectible items. Apparently, I didn't even know that. So you weave stories from across the world. Different people have already done something different and unique, and how do you actually bring that? And you will not believe this. In our survey, we heard if you create unique, themed bags, even if it's for the region, if there's no Macy's globally, but if there was an Amsterdam, you would actually be more willing to buy something that's more localized for you. And this is where the 80-20 rule again applies, right? I keep talking about that. People were open to buying those and keeping them as keepsakes for the rest of their life. A lot of people do that. And so it was good. We achieved doing that with the bags in the store that we give out. We haven't still mobilized a bag in the store for shopping alone. That's something, but to drive the point, we went all the way out. So how do we actually, you can always think about how do you elevate your storytelling and how do you actually drive a point.
right?
Maybe we should do that more often. We haven't done that in a long time. It just doesn't fit every story, but some of the stories we can actually enact and show the effect of what you should be doing will impact your customer journeys and customer perception of the brand.
Yeah. Oh, osmosis and being in the same room. I mean, I had a design firm before I built a product company, and this is one of the ways that we brought everyone together and going through the room of like sometimes months of research. The customers were there, everyone was there. I love the acting. Like that's something we never did. We just told the stories and what was there, but that always moved people in a little bit, right? It's very expensive to do and to pull together. Can't do it every day. Like it's easier to generate a report and just send it out, like and get a couple of slides up. But always after, just as you're explaining, like my experience is the same. Things will start to move. People will remember. They'll go back to it, and you will get more of the outcomes that you wanted for. So yeah, I'm all for doing more of that. I want to switch gears a bit and come back to building along the journey, but focus on AI as we discussed earlier. People are jumping into solution mode with AI all the time. How are you thinking about how maybe we can start with how AI is reshaping retail in general, how you're thinking about it. But I'm also curious related to the storytelling aspect of the internal coordination and orchestration of actions between teams, like how you're thinking about changing the way experiences actually are getting built. So it's a long-winded intro maybe to jump into, but I'll leave it up to you where we can start and pick this up.
Sure. Like I think when we were not on the pod, we were just chatting. I said, how do we approach AI? I believe you should approach along the journeys that you've already created, because there's a lot of time you spend on putting a journey together to say, where's it going? If you just do patchwork of putting AI just because it's fancy and it's kind of shiny, everybody wants to do it. It's also new. It's not new, but it's kind of new now because everybody wants to be on that. In our case, what we've done is we took use cases that could actually unlock some great benefits for our colleagues and customers. One of the most recent ones that we worked on is how our call center experience can be better. That is omni-channel, because customers call. Even today, people call on the phone and buy things from us. Mind blown. And there are so many things that I could share that way. And so how do we actually know how are we actually helping them? So one, we have fragmented systems, right? We have 7+ systems that the colleague has to use on 2 big monitors, and then get information about this customer from different systems, and then make connections, and then talk to them. It's all happening real time. The IVR calls are screened to say, what does the customer want? And you'll already know if they're just asking for info or getting a status update on shipping, or is it something that they want to talk to a colleague. So then it routes to the colleague. And when it comes to the colleague, what we've done is we have unified the system now from a fragmented system to a unified system calling single pane of glass. That's what we call it. A single pane of glass where you can see different systems working together as like a dashboard. Tells you what exactly Jochem is here for, and what's your loyalty status, what was your last order, what did you buy, all that kind of info I do have. The AI kicks in. Actually, it's an agent we built. It's going to go into effect in January as we speak. It's still in development work. That is going to not only help you get that data in real time that you need, but also tell you what you want to actually, what information you may need to complete a successful call. The other part, we also went ahead. My team is very smart, and I kudos to them. They thought about, we do call sentiment in this one. And then it real time says, hey, your tone is actually, if it's in yellow or red, it says, you're sounding a little angry. Maybe you want to tone it down. It's like real time feedback, because it's very important. We may feel, it's always true when you're on the phone and you're talking, a phone call is better than a text message. This is just another analogy I'm going to say, because I could read the text in so many ways and take it right or wrong. But a phone call will give me the tone and then the pace, and that kind of makes it better. A video call is even better. Why? Because I'm also seeing someone talk to me, and I didn't see them angry or anything, so I'm not going to mistake anything. So keeping that in mind, we've done that. What this does is all AI enabled, obviously, and so that actually helps our colleagues serve our customers better, more personalized, much more successful, and not a grumpy customer who just wants to say, your agent was not helpful at all or was not good for me. And also it's productivity for the agent, that they can actually successfully close more calls, maybe shop
Yeah.
more for the customers and ship it off for them and solve the problems we have. We get a lot of calls, obviously. So it will
What
also
happened?
reduce.
Yeah, the you get a lot of calls, and in those calls, like people are calling for a specific thing, but on the back of that, they will give you a lot more about their current experience, where they are. Maybe they are even in the store checking out something. So,
Yes.
what happens to all of that? Like, does that get rooted into your blueprints, into your team's hands as well? Like, basically making sure that you can actually have access to all the side effect or the waste of the call that maybe not be relevant for the agent interaction, but contains super valuable information for you to redesign the service. Like, is that a practice that you are currently doing?
We're we started doing it. We weren't doing it that way. I know we have so much of data available of what are the frustrations, what are the things that we have to work on. Um, those things are now making into our journeys to say, here are the frustrations we've already heard, and here are the themes that are emerging in what we're offering. So we should be working towards that. Have we gotten to a place where I can brag about, say, we've already fixed it all? No, no, we haven't. But we've just started putting it into, and it's a great question because that is one of the things that we've figured out. We have so much data, we should be leveraging that to put it into our pain points in the journey.
Right.
There are all
It's a
these
gold mine, right?
it's gold mine. Absolutely. It's recorded, it's there, and we actually have the data available for us.
Yeah.
They also submit forms online. We get that one periodically. We have an accessibility team that gets a lot of accessibility issues that we solve for. That's a scale of design system and design ops. My partner, she owns that one. She's really very on top of it. But then the MCC, the call center experience is where we get more data of what's happening in real time.
Right. Yeah. What is the level of thinking on using AI along the journey, right? You mentioned localization at the beginning, where now we have a chance of actually like personalization and personalizing every experience, but it's also people are wary about it. Do you want to have a shopping agent that is going to shop on your behalf to do it? Like, is that something your team is considering? Like, I'm really curious. Like,
We
what's the
are.
latest?
There's a conversational AI that we've just beta testing as we speak. It's already in production, not on or not open to everyone. It's in beta for select users. It's a very basic MVP first version, I should say, and that will give you a start to say, what are you looking for? If you're, it's a basic thing that you've seen agentic AIs on most of the websites, the retail sites. So if are you looking for an outfit that you want to use for an interview or for a wedding or something, and then it actually starts suggesting, it just puts you in the journey or into the path of shopping, takes you to the product listing page, and then and so on. Another place I wanted to call out, that's the consumer facing. Another one is my team and I work also on the marketplace for us. And there we've thought a very good use case for AI. What it does is basically it's helping the sellers understand how should they position their product? What does the product description be like? We already have certain set of rules that we've defined, but if your seller is not doing so well, why is this product not doing well? The AI analyzes that and tells you in real time, say, hey, competitors are doing it in a different way. And here are some of the suggestions that you have that you may want to follow. And that is gold for the sellers because sellers are, in many marketplaces, obviously, they have to know why my volume is low or my pictures are not, good enough. And they have a dashboard that they can actually real time sense, and the AI actually predicts that part for them. That's
Right.
you can see that's one of the use cases that we want to think through. Where do you inject AI that gives productivity increase for someone than just having a fancy stuff going on?
Yeah. How do you make sure that like normal solutions are also still in fashion today? Like, is that still something that you need to train the team on? That like AI is not the hammer and there's nils everywhere.
It's I agree. Normal solutions are in fashion everywhere. But AI is just it's just this in it. I don't know how you, I would love to ask you, of course, we're just talking here. How do you use AI in your real life is one thing that we all use in some ways, right? Especially tech folks, at least people who are tech savvy, do designers use. Um, you also are having now, you have so many AI apps coming out for wireframing, prototyping. Are they not 100% accurate, but it gives you a good start without
Yes.
struggling too much. Even Figma Make, I know it's all over the place. We're trying to see what is Figma Make all about. It's good. It actually did a good job. I compared it with a couple other apps that I know. One of my friends actually has a startup where he's building, uh, which is basically that. It does wireframing and prototyping. It also builds a UI for you based on your prompt. Uh,
Yeah.
so how do
There.
you really compete with Figma with this one? It's like this is more like product managers should be able to use, and they come up with their ideas and write concept before they go into design and say, "I want this feature built this way, and why." So I said, "Oh,
Right.
that's a good start."
Yeah. So I'm not sure if we should take the product management discussion here, because like
No worries.
that's a picky one. No, I love to do it, but more like I think we should stay on the design track, because to answer your question a little bit, and like I'm also curious to hear back from you. The one thing I'm seeing on the capabilities of being able to prototype and getting your ideas out, it's phenomenal, right? But all those prototyping tools today are enabling you to get your idea out, to get people to experience it, to get people to try it out, which is wonderful. But then when you try to actually implement that, we got a long way to go, right? It's not
Yeah.
like compatible with any of the code base, and we need to start from scratch. So, but we're gonna get there. I'm sure there's gonna be solutions out there. But what I'm actually seeing is that it still begs the questions like, what is the problem we're solving? Like, what is it really that we're trying to solve? So ideas are cheap, and now executing on ideas is even cheaper. So that
Yes.
means more people can participate, which is great. But you still need to understand as a designer things like, who is the person that I'm solving something for? Why am I doing that? I'm working for Macy's. Okay, then who is my customer? Well, is it my colleague? Okay, so what is the problem they're having, and what is the magnitude of that problem? So what I'm more interested in, and the way I use AI, like I'll give an example, is that every week I take discovery calls from my team that are interacting with potential customers, and I'm running them against our journeys and understanding, like in the early stages of like the engagement with us, like where do new friction points pop up that we haven't known. So I have journeys, I have my key pain points that people talk about, where I know like uniting silos or breaking silos is the top thing that comes up, where they want to use my product for. So what I'm looking for is like in those conversations, what's popping up in that context? Do I have a new perspective, a new feedback point, a new question mark around that? And then I use that to generate content from. So I'm writing, I have a couple of bots that write briefs for me, that I write content around, that I turn. So I'm using it in that way and then talk to my team about it. But I'm using it to define, is there a new problem, or is there a different way about the problem that we're currently solving that I
Uh,
should be aware of? And I used to do that by manually talking to customers. And today I just have a couple of systems running and I get the answer. And then I start probing. So I'm speeding up this, and I'm doing this across the journey in our way. Like there's more things on the post-sales experience right now that we're addressing. So as a CEO that is a designer, this is giving me a lot of depth on the problems that I can't get behind because I used to talk to customers. I need to phone them up. So that's just one of the ways that I think like AI is super helpful. I'm less so into prototyping right now. My team is using it a lot, but I think like the problem space, the problem definition space, like that's the most fascinating one to me.
I'm with you. I do the same thing. I don't use it for prototyping or anything as such. I have just to, test the waters, see how the output is. A long time ago, I used to actually code front end. Not that was not where I started. I was still a designer, but I would also code front end and then give it off to the, development teams to say, go put your Java code. That's something I don't want to do. I never had a fascination for it. And now I'm seeing that come back again, sort of using AI, but it's not clean, like you mentioned. It's not, I don't use it for that. I do exactly what you said too. I just take it, I put it in, it gives me more insights. And then I say, oh, this is okay and this is not okay. And so I want to go dig deeper into this one and find out. Instead of me spending 2 or 3 days in the field to understand this and then come back and compile them, I can have this as a baseline, and then I go to the field and then get more answers in a much faster way. And so that's productivity for me as well.
I love that. It's
100%.
it's a signal, right? I mean, like I would love to think that we can get to a role where we can deeply, deeply answer all the why questions. It's like, why is this happening? Why is this occurring? But I think like I'm fine with the what. It's like, here's the magnitude of the problem. Let's put a box around it. Let's call it out. This is the problem, and here's like all the different feedback points that we're getting. Here's what customers are saying about it. That's already so much more that you can get like instantly versus what you had to do to get there like 2 years ago.
Yes.
That where this is going is obviously able to answer the why questions at some point. But I'm also skeptical that coming from research, coming from design, the best way to validate is to really dig in and, visit your customers, go meet them.
I'm with you
And
100%.
yeah. So that will not go away, but like our ability to feed all the different teams, to get closer to the customer, to walk in their shoes, to be part of the journey and see that data life coming together so that engineers can be close to solving the problems and they don't need the design layer, the product management layer, the program management layer in between. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about where this is going.
Likewise. I agree with you. There's no way all those other things are going to go. It's just a tool that'll help you be a little more efficient. And instead of me telling Jochem, I'm going to give you the report tomorrow, I could probably give it to you in the next 30 minutes because that's the part that it helps me in.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Do you also think about it in a way to tie to business outcomes? Because what I'm also seeing, like very practical, like customer experience teams, they still spend a lot of time cobbling up all the data from the different parts, connecting with all the different silos, building a report, creating a point of view, getting it in front of a stakeholder. And then at best, they will look at it and say, thank you. No,
Yeah.
at best, they will do something, but like usually they will look at it and say, thank you. So a lot of that grunt work is actually what I'm bullish on that we can replace with AI, and we should. What's your take on this?
We are actually, at least I do that more often, and I'm sure a lot of. So on a weekly basis, we see our numbers. This is something new for a lot of design folks on our team, but I'm kind of used to it because I also was very close to product in my previous roles. Here too, I am. That we get numbers from the analytics team and then the data team that puts out and the report that goes out. We're building a culture where everybody sees the number and understands what it means. How did the needle move because I took a decision in design, or how did it not move? Why did it fall? It's kind of thinking through. And that's where AI comes in. You're 100% right. So I obviously, instead of seeing spreadsheets with 20 pages, which are color coded with just numbers, a lot of people cannot make sense of it. Instead, that AI can give you a good summary of what it means, and you feed more data and say, I don't understand this part. Tell me more about this. We have it integrated. I have already subscribed for those reports. It comes every day in the morning. Every day in the morning at 7 a.m. I have it. And I go through and say, here are the numbers. Where did we go well? Where did we not do well? And then how can we improve? That helps you then take it to any meeting and sitting and telling them a story. Say, this is where it is. You don't feel so bad about it because you also understand what happened. It's not
Mm.
just going in and saying, I got all the data, I spent so much time and nobody cared much about it, like you said before. In this case, it's not about just the time saved, but it's also you staying on top of it. It's easier to stay on
Yeah.
top of it now because of AI.
Well, what is in those reports, if I may ask? Like numbers, sure, but like if designers are able to see like the impact they have, I
Yeah,
assume there's more to it.
it's like what elements of our homepage kind of was more interactive in this week. Which of the merchandising offers that we had kind of put a dent, a positive or negatively? Were there sales, and did the sale actually make an impact this week or not? Those kinds of things you see, and then say, why did it not go? And then you can dig deeper to say, was a placement bad on the site?
Mm.
Or was it the message that was bad from content strategy point of view? Or where can we improve that one for the next one that's going to come in 2 weeks' time so we can actually go experimental and see? And that's how we use that.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's really
And then,
designed, informed through data.
right. ultimately getting also like those pieces from those calls tooled up into it, explaining we have more people calling about this problem, and therefore it's like a friction point. Like, yes, this is where things are going. If you had a magic wand, like what would you change today to speed it up, to remove anything like in the world of customer experience and building experiences for your customer? Like if you can change one thing like that frustrates you, or like, oh, we still haven't solved that, like what would you change?
Oh, and that's a tough question. There'll be so many things I would love to change. One thing is everyone aligning to the customer journey is one thing that I would like to change, because I don't think everyone is aligned. And we say yes in 30-minute calls that we have, and they're very pumped up, but then in the next 5 hours you probably have lost momentum and then it fades away. And that's my problem. And I feel,
Mm.
like, can we just stay the course and say obsess about your customers? And that is one thing that's a cultural change. I had a magic one say, culturally I'm just going to touch everyone like Midas did, and then you all have changed to think that way. It's very hard to change the mindset, and that is what I would love to change. If that changes, I think half of the problems are going to go. Like, everybody's thinking from the same lens, and there'll be very less objections and more alignment to say, "Oh, you're right. We have the data, and here's a mistake. Let's go work on it and get it solved." Uh,
Yeah,
Probably priorities will change too once they see that. Is
right.
each one has its own priority, and they're tied to their own personal KPIs, which I don't have privy to, obviously.
Yeah, but it also seems like you're on the path to doing it already, because blueprinting is a thing. You're enacting journeys on the highest level. Like there's all these ways that you've done this, and yet an organization like Macy's is not fully aligned with the customer journey. Like, where are you going next? So you're doing a lot of work on it. Like, what is the next step in your journey to get everyone to align along the journey that you're actually taking right now?
I like to say we want to champion this as we keep moving forward and create more influence and visibility across the board. It takes a village, obviously, to do anything, and the number of people we have is pretty large.
Mm.
One best thing about my role, especially, is owning the enterprise side of the UX. I get to talk to different set of people. And an example, Macy's, yes, we have work to do. An example I want to quote before I forget is at Cox, where I used to work with legal folks all the time, but both at Marriott and at Cox. Here, not so much yet. So at Marriott, I would never have a chance to talk to lawyers, and they were all on a different floor. We could never even go there. But you know, you get the point.
Mm.
But they always said you cannot use these terms. You cannot, and it affected our designs a lot. You cannot use some copy. You cannot show certain things because it's a legal, mandate. At Cox, what we did was it was never by design, but it just happened organically, which was the best part. Is got direct, and thanks to COVID, we're not in an office, we got direct access to all our lawyers who worked on the legal stuff. And what I learned from there is how you can influence them by showing them the pain points in real time. I would actually jump on a call with some of the lawyers that we had, and they were all high up in the ladder. They were very nice, and I would always joke with them and say, "You teach me law, and I'm going to teach you design and empathy," because lawyers don't have empathy. Just a joke. Um, they were so nice, Jochem. It was for over an year, and we had so much back and forth. They would say, "Put terms and conditions right in front of the customer in the homepage." We're like, "No, can't do that one." It's an example. I had to fight that so many times, but in the interim, I learned how you can influence someone and they can help you as well. And so we all came and aligned on a more livable solution, obviously. So that same thing applies here too. We have to actually keep pushing forward to see where we can bring people together on this journey with us. Either you are joining their journey or they're bringing them on your journey. And
Right.
that's it.
And that's so important, right? It doesn't have to be your journey. It doesn't have to be from the customer experience. You can join the legal folks where they are and meet them where they actually are versus
Totally.
like forcing them into something else. Right. Santosh, thank you so much for joining me today. I think this was a fascinating conversation and it sparked a couple of thoughts in my mind as well. If people want to know more about building effective customer-centric organizations or just reach out, where can I find you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, and also, yeah, so LinkedIn's the best place for me. I could actually network with anyone. Anybody wants to reach out, please send a message, and I'll be happy to talk to you.
Put a link to your profile in the show notes for sure. And
Sure.
thanks again for joining me today.
Thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, and that's it. Thank you so much for listening. If you found it valuable today, don't forget to subscribe to the Experience Edge on your favorite podcast channel, leave a review, and share it with your team. I'd be delighted. Today's episode was brought to you by Daydo, an AI journey management solution for enterprise. To have an edge on your business strategy and to know why your customers do what they do, visit daydo.com and explore more resources to accelerate your customer experience game. And remember, the journey to creating customer-centric impact never ends, and here's always a new edge to discover in doing things differently. Next week, new episode. Until then, pushing the edge, stay inspired. See you in the next episode.